Okay, let's see. Let's go here. All right, hi guys, Ian here, and I'm back with another live stream. And today, in this live stream, I'm going to talk about two IMs, and they are from Ziigaat. Okay, this is the Ziigaat Nuo, and the next one is the Ziigaat Cinno. All right, so in this video, I'm going to go through my impression, my sound impression of this, and what I think about them. And then I'm going to compare it with some other IMs that I have here. I have the A-Full or A-Full 5 here, Performer 5, and then I have the Yening. Sorry, this is not the Yening. Where's my Yening? All right, I think I need to grab my Yening. Hang on a second. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I've got my Yening here. So I'm going to compare with Yening and A-Full. Okay, so let's begin. First, let's go through the Nuo. All right, so let's take a look at the Nuo. Right, so it's just the Cinno. Hang on, let me just change out to Nuo, and can I go? There you go. Let's search out for Nuo. Where's Nuo? Oh man, this is very slow. Okay. Hang in there, guys. Or is there specs at the back? Oh, they have some specs here. But it's alright. Let me just go to the website. Oh, there you go. Nuo. Alright, so it's $24. And how many colors does it come with? First, it comes in with a 10mm LCP dynamic driver, and yeah, it's a 10mm dynamic driver. Let me just go through the specs with you guys. Okay, so specs wise, this has got a frequency range of 20 to 20,000 hertz. Impedance is 32 ohms. And the sensitivity is 117. Okay, and on the inside of the box, I've already opened it. Just want to show you guys what's inside. So pretty much just ear tips. I mean, it's $24, right? So you get one set of ear tips, 3 different sizes. I'm not gonna go through them. I mean, they're pretty generic, pretty normal ear tips. Okay, pretty soft as well. And the inner ball is quite normal in the size. Okay, but as you guys know, my favorite ear tips is the SpinFits, and this is the W1, which I'm using right now. So I've been using the W1 to test these earphones. Okay, so that's for the inside. Now the cable wise is actually, it's pretty good. I mean, it's rubbery, and it's as you can see, right, is quite firm. I mean, some people call it firm. I call it, it's like a lasso or lasso, and it's got like a mind of its own. Pretty hard to manage kind of cable, so it tends to want to flip around. But it's good quality. I can feel that it's good quality. It's just that it's a little bit stiff type of cable. So yeah, but for $24, right, this is a pretty good cable. Ear hooks are pretty nice as well. Okay, and yeah, the 3-pin connector here. And now the IEM, let's take a look at the IEM itself. IEM is pretty nice, fits my ear pretty well. The shell itself is made of plastic, it's not even metal. And inner shell is plastic, well, not really plastic, I think it's resin. And its only metal part is this bronze nozzle, okay? And yeah, so inner shell is pretty alright. I mean, it's not very aggressive when it comes to the curvatures, okay? So it's not very odd in terms of the inner shell, so it fits my ear pretty well. It's pretty long, right? I would like to say that the shell itself is actually pretty long, and but overall it's a pretty usual shell. And yeah, pretty nice of them to indicate whether it's right or left, all right, on the shell itself. But on the cable, there's no indication. Oh, there is for this one. That's for the Cinnos. The Cinno, I had issues looking for the indication. Ooh, I think the shell is made of metal. The faceplate. Yeah, faceplate is made of metal. So that's the only part that's made of metal. But yeah, that's the build quality of this. Now, in terms of drivability, they are very, very easy to drive. I've been using this and listening to this at 30% volume. I mean, if you look at my usually, as you guys know, I always use my M15S, and the volume that I always go at is this is roughly 50, okay? So this is where I would usually listen to my music. It's around 30 to 40%, okay? So with this Newell, is pretty easy to drive, okay? This one is dark, so this is a pretty dark IM in terms of tone and timbre. So I would match it with things like iPods and Sony's, the A55s, things that are more rounded, more musical. This is actually not a very good match for it. So, yeah, but I always carry this around with me, so it's just convenient for me. And it's my test gear anyway. I use it to test my gear, all my gears. So this one is, yeah, pretty warm sounding, and it's dark as well. The note weight is heavy and also pretty textured. Yeah, it's got a lot of how to say grain to it. Yeah, I can feel the grain to the texture of the music that you listen to. So yeah, so that's for the tone and timbre and the note weight as well. Now, in terms of technical performance, this is alright in terms of resolution. Is not as resolving as the Cinno, which I have right here. But overall, for $24, is quite resolute. Okay, soundstage wise is also quite alright. It's not the widest. It's not the I mean, it's alright. It's got quite a bit of air, but it's quite intimate when it comes to the soundstage, especially for male vocals. They sound quite intimate. Female vocals, they sound a little bit more airy. But for instruments wise, they are well, imaging is alright. It's spaced out, and it's pretty clear in terms of the spacing and the separation of the instruments. So female vocals or male vocals, they're in the middle. Then you have the percussions. You can tell that the percussions are at the back, and you can identify the instruments, maybe the pianos on this side, Like for example, when I listen to the girl in Pana, I can tell, you know, the female singer is on this side, the male singer is on this side. So the sound separation is pretty good. Okay. In terms of the detail retrieval, this is, how would I say? It's all right. It's not a very recessed type of mids. It's actually quite, it's a bit of a V, right? It's quite all right when it comes to the mids, right? So I would say detail retrieval is average, right? It's not the most detailed IEM out there. So anyway, for those of you who's getting this IEM, is not for details. Okay, it's $24. And as I mentioned, the resolution of this is pretty alright. It's not the most resolute, but it's alright for $24. Okay. Now, in terms of sound signature, I'll compare it when I'll show you the graph when I'm comparing it with the Cinno at the same time together with the rest. Now let's talk about the Cinno, right? Is that how you pronounce it? Cinno? Yes, Cinno. Anyway, the Nuo is a single dynamic driver, and the Cinno is, let me see, one dynamic driver and 4 balance armatures. That's a lot of, so this is a hybrid. Well, there's a lot of drivers in there. In total, 4 balance armatures in there. All right. The frequency range is 20 to 20,000 hertz, and the impedance is 32 ohms. Sensitivity is 107. Okay, so 5 drivers per side. Now you have 2 balance armatures for the treble and 2 balance armatures for the mids and the highs. Okay, so quite a lot of drivers in there. And this one is, let me just take a look at the, let me see, website. I'm not too sure what's the retail price for this. Let me just check. A Cinno, Cinno. Okay, what's the, oh, okay. So the retail price for this is $99. Oh, come on, my internet is lagging. Yeah, apologize for the laggy internet. So, but yeah, this is 99 US dollars. Yeah, I think I better not take too much bandwidth for this. Okay, let me just hide this. Okay, so $99, and let's see what you get inside. No carrying case, by the way. Yeah, so there's no carrying case for this, and yeah, it's basically tips. Same as the Nuo. Okay, so let's put that one side. So accessories wise, nothing much to shout out about. Okay, it's basically quite standard. Now let's take a look at the cable. Now this comes with a better cable. It's a nicer cable, as you can see. It's almost similar. It's just that it's easier to manage. It's softer, and comes with 3.5 headphone jack. And ear hooks are, well, about the same. It's actually quite similar, right, to the Nuo, but it's a nicer cable, right? So yeah. Now in terms of the build quality of this, is actually plastic. Now this is plastic, right? If you can hear when I tap on it, this is plastic, whereas the Nuo is metal. Okay, so that's for the faceplate. The inner shell is grayish, elephant gray kind of color, so it's not see-through. You can't see the drivers in there. Yeah, nozzle is made of plastic. In fact, it's part of the entire shell itself. This one doesn't have much curvatures, so it's pretty smooth. To me, this Nuo fits my ear a little bit better. Okay, this one, yeah, it does wobble a bit when it goes in my ear. Okay, so that's for the design of this. And in terms of build quality, it's all right, and the finishing is also not bad. You can see that, you know, the faceplate and the inner shell is actually quite integrated into one piece. But you can see that they, tried to close it up in terms of the faceplate. Now this doesn't show or indicate the left and the right. So I had some issues. I mean, obviously I've played with so many IEMs. I know which is left and right, but the cable itself doesn't have any indication. So yeah, this is not very user friendly in terms of that. But other than that, I mean, I'm so used to this type of IEM, so I know what I'm looking at and what to look out for. Now, in terms of the drivability, these are okay. They are not as easy to drive as the Duo or Nuo. I would say this one, I was listening to it at about 50%. So drivability wise is pretty okay to drive, not very hard. You can drive it with most of your smartphones. So yeah, still pretty good in terms of drivability. In terms of gear matching, this is neutral. It's pretty neutral sounding, and is quite different from this. This is very, very dark and very smooth as well. These two is, in terms of the sound signature, right? They are as smooth as a baby's bottom. You will not feel you will not feel any fatigue when you are using these two earphones. Yeah, basically it's very, very nice to use. Okay, no sibilants, nothing at all. But this is even smoother and darker than the Nuo, right? In terms of the tone and timbre, it's very warm, pretty warm. Yeah, it's got a lot of bass. Yeah, and it's a dark, very dark type of treble, a very dark type of sound signature as well. And the bass is quite good. It's got good texture and very musical when I'm listening to this. At the same time, it's very clear as well. It's very resolute. Okay, so I mean, I'm now going into technicalities, but yeah, this is very resolute. This is more resolving than the Nuo. It's got better clarity. It sounds clearer to me for the Cinno. Cinno sounds clearer, and the Nuo sounds a little bit less resolute, but this is still quite resolute for $24. This is $100, which is $99. And it's got 5 drivers in there. This has got 1. So anyway, yeah, this is pretty good in terms of resolution. Soundstage wise is pretty wide. It's quite airy as well, but it's still quite intimate. So vocals, they are still quite close to me when I'm listening to them. But instruments wise, they tend to have a bit more space, and they are a bit further out, okay, when I'm listening to my tracks. So soundstage wise, I would say this one has got a wider soundstage as compared to the Nuo. Okay. In terms of the detail retrieval on this is really good. I can pick up a lot of details on this IEM as compared to the Nuo. Okay, so very clear, very clean as well, the sound. And overall imaging on this is much more precise, okay, than the Nuo. And technical performance, I mean, just to sum it up, technical performance on this Cinno is, I would say, better than the Nuo. Okay, so now let's talk about the sound. So let me just show you guys the graph. Right, so this is the graph. And the blue line that you see here is the Nuo, right? My set here has got a little bit of, I don't know, manufacturer's defect, but yeah, it's supposed to go flat, but it's not flat. But anyway, if you look at the sub bass, both of them have got pretty similar sub bass. It's just that the Nuo sounds a bit more bassy, and they are pretty harmonish. The dotted line is the Harman target, of course. Okay, So the blue line is the Nuo, and you can see it's actually pretty harmonious when it comes to the sub bass. So this is not really for bass heads, okay? And the mids are actually pretty forward. They are a bit above Harmon. Okay, so you can feel that warmness and that fullness when it comes to both the sub bass and the mid bass. The rumble is strong, is good, and is very textured, as I mentioned. The Cinno is not as warm and it's not as bassy as the Nuo. Nuo sounds more musical to me than the Cinno. Okay. And the mid bass on both of them, I would say the Nuo has got a bit more forwardness, a bit more thump as well, and is firmer as well. So, but both of them have got a mid bass bloat, some sort, and it actually bleeds into the mids. So, I mean, for this one, because it's got more drivers, and I mean, some people say more drivers doesn't mean sounds better. Yeah, it doesn't mean that, but it does separate the sound a little bit better. So even though there is the mid bass bloat, but the treble and the mids are being handled and produced by the balance armatures, that gives me a bit more clarity for the mids and the treble as compared to the Nuo. Nuo, is just one driver does it all, and because of that, everything gets mashed up in the mids. So that's why you get that bloat and that clarity that's not as clear as the Cinno. Okay. In terms of mids, the Nuo has got a very nice warm presence to the instruments and the vocals as well, but they don't sound as clean as the Cinno. But overall, both of them, I would say they're all right, and the Cinno sounds a bit better. Okay, in terms of the clarity and the crispiness of the instruments and of course the vocals. Male vocals would sound better on the Nuo. In fact, they sound very textured and very musical on the Nuo. On the Cinno, male vocals, they sound all right. Okay, they lack a little bit of that body as compared to the Nuo. Nuo sounds a bit more wholesome to me. Yeah, so that's for vocals. Oh, female vocals. Female vocals, they sound pretty okay on the Nuo. In fact, they sound pretty nice on the Nuo. Not as energetic on both of them. Not as that there isn't that sparkle there for on both of them. So female vocals, they would sound much more laid back and not as exciting as I would want them to be. But the good thing is that they are not in my face. They are not too sibilant as well. They are not harsh. So I can listen to female vocals and male vocals on this, with at ease. I'm not, tensed up, and I'm not fatigued. I'm not tired. I don't have that feeling to that I want to pull the earphones out of my ear after a long listening session. Okay, so that's one thing good about them. Now, in terms of the treble, I would say the Nuo has got a more forward treble, but it's again not as energetic as some of the IEMs that I have here. In fact, it's actually quite similar to the P5, which I'll compare with later. But yeah, it's not for both of them in terms of the gain to the treble. They are not as energetic as, for example, let me see, what do I have here? Maybe the BC02, right? So this is very energetic, very in your face type of treble or gain to the treble. Okay. Oh, let me see. I think REW. Yeah, this is the BC02. Okay. So yeah, it's a very energetic. This is like in your face type of treble, but for the Nuo and the Cinno, they are not as intense, okay, and not as bright as well. So it's dark. It's a dark treble for both of these, but I would say the Nuo has got a little bit brighter in terms of the treble, They sound more, there's a bit more sparkle on the Nuo as compared to the Cinno. Cinno is very, very dark, very laid back. So it makes the female vocals sounds a bit blunt, I would say, not as energetic, not as spicy, right? So yeah, female vocals sound better on the Nuo. Okay, let me just show you the graph again. Right, so when it comes to the air of the treble, now this is where the Cinno has got a bit more, I would say, openness. That's why this has got a little bit more airy soundstage. Well, it affects the soundstage as well. So this Cinno has got a little bit more air when it comes to the treble itself, and it rolls off pretty nicely. It's not a very natural roll off in my books. Sounds a little bit grainy because of this peak here. But for the Nuo, it sounds a bit better when it comes to the trail off or the roll off of the treble. For cymbal crashes and hi-hats, they sound nicer on the Nuo. Okay. All right, so that's for the sound signature of both of them. Okay, and if you ask me, the Cinno would sound, I would say, clearer. But if you ask, if you talk about musicality and overall balance, okay, the Nuo would sound a little bit more balanced to me and a bit more musical to me as compared to the Cinno. And if I were to choose one, I would choose the Nuo. Nuo has got a nicer delivery of the sound overall, even though it's not as resolute as the Cinno, but as a package, this gives me a more pleasing listening session as compared to the Cinno. Both of them are very suitable for laid back songs, right? You can listen to most vocals, all right, and instrumentals as well. You can listen to pop songs, R&B. They sound really good on this. Techno wise, not much. EDM, I don't think it's suitable for this. Everything sounds like a doom doom doom. It's not as exciting as I want it to be. But yeah, most of the pop songs will suit this pretty well. And in terms of price to performance, I would prefer to go with this, the Nuo. They sound, I mean, it's $24, even though it doesn't sound as resolute as the Cinno. This still gives me a very good listening session as compared to the Cinno. Okay, now let's compare them with the why am I taking out the field? Earphone P5, right? So this Earphone P5 actually sounds very, very close to the Cinno. Okay, so let me see if I can pull up my graph for the Earphone P5. Maybe, and let's see. Do I have it here? That's weird. There you go. Let's open this. Okay, and let me just average it out first. Okay, so you're looking at one line of the Earphone P5. Compare this red line. The red line that you're looking at is the Cinno, and then the blue line is the Nuo, right? So they are actually pretty similar. Okay, I'm not going to put in the Harman target because I don't want to confuse you guys. But if you look at this three graphs, okay, and yeah, they look pretty similar. The brighter one, I would say the brightest of all this three, okay, is actually the Nuo, right? The Nuo is the brightest. The Earphone P5 is actually pretty dark as well. It's quite as, I mean, it's just as dark as the Cinno. That's why this tool gives you a very smooth sound, all right, a very smooth listening session with the bass. The bass is harmonish. It's not a recessed bass, so you still get that the body and that fullness of your track with the same amount of bass. It's just that the Nuo would have a bit more brightness. All right, they sound a bit more energetic as compared to this two. Okay, soundstage wise, the P5 I would say has got the widest soundstage as compared to this two. Price wise, the P5 is also the most expensive. Okay, I think let me just Google it. Let me just do a quick Google. And let me see. Performer 5, and that would be 200 plus. It's about 200 over dollars. Okay, so price wise, this is over $200. The Cinno is $100, and the Nuo is just $24. Of course, when it comes to technical performance, these two, okay, the Cinno is actually quite comparable to the P5. Soundstage wise, the P5 is wider. In terms of the overall technical performance, I would say that P5 is still a little bit more superior as compared to the Cinno, but not by a lot, right? It's not by a lot. Basically, this is very comparable, these two. But in terms of the overall musicality, I would say the Nuo is still more pleasing to me, all right, in terms of the overall balance of the sound when I'm listening to this tree. Okay, now let's compare them with the Yening. Right, this is a Canon 2. So this Canon 2, okay, I just want to say the Canon 2 sounds very, very nice to me. I still like the Canon 2, and even though these two, they may sound very similar to the Canon 2, let me just pull out the graph of the Canon 2, and hold on a second. Canon 2. Okay, so Canon 2, let's bring it out. All right, so I'm gonna average them out. Let me just tidy up the graph first before I show you guys the graph. All right, so oh wow, Canon 2 has got a lot of squigs on it because it's got switches, and you can actually change the tuning of Canon 2. So I'm just gonna show you the first one, and yeah, I'm not gonna show you all the graphs. It's gonna be too confusing for you guys. It's already very confusing. So I'm just gonna show you 3 lines. All right, I'm not gonna show you the P5. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the graph now. Please don't be confused. All right, so the very thick line that you see here, this thick purple line, is actually the Canon 2. And if you look at the Canon 2, it's got the bass of the Nuo. In fact, the mid bass is a little bit more than the Nuo, and it's got that same brightness as the Nuo as well. It's not a bright IEM. Also, it's actually pretty dark. So it's somewhere in terms of the treble, the sweet spot for me is the Canon 2. Is where the Canon 2 sounds not too dark. I mean, it's still dark, but not as dark as the Cinno. So it's quite engaging as well. It's also quite musical sounding to me. So the Canon 2 still sounds pretty nice. Okay, and if you look at the overall brightness, or the overall airiness or brilliance they call it, it's actually quite similar to the Nuo, right? So The trail off is not like a sudden peak and then it trails off, but it's actually it trails off quite a bit first and then it peaks out a little bit and then it trails off again. So when I listen to my cymbal strikes and hi-hats and the bells, the tapping of the bells, the Canon 2 just sounds smooth. Yeah, it sounds smooth to me for the treble. Okay, but price, okay, again, Canon 2 is I think 200 plus. Yeah, same thing, it's almost 300 I think for the Canon 2 compared to these two. The Nuo is again $24 and the Cinno is just $100. Okay, but overall I would say Canon 2 still sounds really nice to me. I like the sound of the Canon 2, and overall it's got the musicality of the Nuo, the overall balance of the Nuo. It sounds warmer as well. It's got more bass, a little bit more engaging bass as compared to the Nuo, and yeah, overall sounds more pleasing to me as compared to the Nuo. The Cinno, in terms of the overall balance, is a little bit off as compared to the Yaning Canon 2. Okay, all right. So that's a very quick comparison with these two, and that also concludes my review for this two. Now it's time for Q&A if there's any. So let me just go over to the chat and see if there's anyone commenting. All right, so Galactus 2K, yes, are you lagging or am I lagging? Yes, I am lagging. I apologize for the lag. Okay, so yeah, it's my internet. Onyada, same cable of Hola or not? Looks the same. The Nuo feels like it's the same. Okay. C's, hi Ian, hi C's. JCTV, hi Ian. Will you continue to do star ratings for reviewed products, because I haven't seen you do them recently? Oh, right. Okay. So, in terms of star rating, for these two, all right, for the Nuo and the Cinno, to me, they are both 3 stars out of 5 stars. Okay, so they are 3 stars out of 5 stars to me. They're all right. Okay, they are not outstanding to me. It's not something whereby I will reach out for. Pretty common to me as well. So yeah, 3 stars out of 5 stars. Right, so that's my star rating for them. I'm gonna record it down somewhere. Next, Mars Chan. Wow, the Cinno looks very similar to P5 graph. Oh yes, it is. It's actually quite similar to P5 graph. But I would say, yeah, in terms of technical performance, the P5 still has got a little bit of an edge to the Cinno. This Cinno has, I think it's the balance armature or something like that. It's got a little bit of that graininess. Yeah. Next is Kartik GS. Is Cinno better than Ziigaat EM6L? Well, I haven't compared them, Kartik. So, based on my memory, I would say the EM6L still sounds a bit better to me. I still prefer the sound of EM6L based on my memory. I haven't put them side by side yet. Okay, so that is all the answers that being answered. Anyone else have any questions that you want to ask me? I'll give it 5 minutes, and I think I'm lagging if I'm not wrong, so I'm sure you guys will have any questions or can hear me, but maybe just a little bit later. Yeah, so just ask away if you have any questions, and I'll try my best to answer you. Oh, so you can hear me. No problem, Kartik. Or Kartik. I'll try to help if I can. Okay, my goal here, guys, is to help you make a decision if you want to buy it. And you know, everybody's um, price or budget is different. Okay, I acknowledge that everyone has a different lifestyle, and you are looking out for IEMs or earphones based on what you have. And what want to do here is to share with you guys which is the best option for you guys. Okay, so that's why, you know, if I can I'll try to compare. But as you guys know, you know, listening to earphones is not, you know, 5 minute kind of thing. I got to do lengthy comparisons just by comparing, you know, 3 or 4 earphones together, and it takes me half a day just to compare them. All right, so I'll just give it a bit more time, and if there's no other questions, I will end this live stream. Again, I apologize for the lag. I'll see what I can do regarding my internet connection. I'll try to find a better internet connection. All right, so if there's no other questions, I will end this live stream. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you guys have a great day ahead. And I'll see you again in my next live stream. Cheers.